Who was that lady seen dancing with Reggie Dwight? When the disco lights are turned up, you'd probably recognise her as the Queen. And Reggie Dwight you'd know better as Elton John. Elton, it seems, has become a solid favourite of the royal family, which has led to some pretty wild rumours in the press lately about, well, you can hear it for yourself in this story. You'll also hear about that disco session with the Queen. We met him in Los Angeles a couple of weeks before he sets out on his latest Australian tour. Born as Reggie Dwight in a humble English council house, he's come an awfully long way, done some awfully outrageous things, and established some awfully high connections, even for a pop star. Elton John, about to turn 40, but as he says, still only a kid at heart.
I feel very young again. It's like, this is fun, let's do it. The moment it stops being fun, then I will stop again. But it's if you're a musician and you're creative, and you feel creative, then go out there and do it. If it's becoming a routine, and just stop.
40 years young.
Yeah, 40 years. I mean, I feel the same way as I did in 1970. I'm just like a little kid.
Elton John, the Peter Pan of the rock and roll industry. The 40-year-old who'd rather be 14.
I mean, one grows up as one gets older, one matures, but there's that side of me that makes me very happy when I'm just bouncing all the time, and that's happening at the moment. I've got to be very thankful for that after all this time. After 16 years, you serious? I feel like I do now. It's incredible.
And what a career it's been. A career that took a nosedive when he told the world he was bisexual. It was something he admits he wanted to get off his chest for a long time.
Life is a temporary.
No, it was just, it was kind of common knowledge in the. I'm very fortunate to be in a business where it doesn't really, that sort of thing is not sort of out of this world. It's not as if I come from Mars or anything. I got a lot of letters from people in England, especially from kids that live in, well, not just kids, people that live in villages and towns where it's still very taboo, and it's very hard. It's very, it's mentally a very hard thing to admit. To see someone, if you like their records, I suppose, if you like, and to see someone else say it kind of feels, I suppose, the letters they sent to me said, thanks for being on our side, or thanks for saying it, it's given me courage, which I never thought of, and if I helped those people, then I'm glad I said it.
Did that or did that not hurt your career?
It did in America a lot, yeah.
Did it?
I think, yeah, I was dropped like a hot potato.
Really?
By certain radio stations, yeah. Last time I was in Washington, they had a mass burning of my records. Not this tour, the last tour. But then they burnt Donny Osmond and Dean Martin. I thought, why the hell are they burning them? I don't know. Maybe because they don't like alcoholics either.
Some fans may have burnt his records, but others have bought a whole lot more. Over 100 million albums. By his 25th birthday, Elton John was already a multi-millionaire, famous for his spur-of-the-moment spending sprees. Up to $100,000 in an afternoon. Do you still go on the spending spree?
Yeah, everywhere I can find. If I was in the Sahara, I'd find a supermarket. Yeah, I'd build one. Yeah, I can find. I love junk things. I mean, I just love to go out, and buy stuff. Yeah.
And you've always believed you can't take it with you?
Because you can't. Yeah, mind you, there are people have been buried with their Ferraris, but I mean that's ridiculous. It's no good being mean with money. I've shared it a lot, and that brings a lot of pleasure to me.
Yeah, because most of those sprees, and I should have pointed that out, you've spent on other people.
Yeah, I get that, but they have to earn it. I'm not daft. I mean, I'm not, oh, here's, $20,000, go and buy yourself half a fur coat or something. Well, I stopped buying fur coats. You see, the wife's had a great effect on me. No fur coats anymore.
But all the money in the world couldn't stop Elton's bouts of depression. On the eve of his 30th birthday, there was his first suicide attempt, when he put his head in a gas oven, but forgot to close the windows.
That was over a personal thing, and it was just, yeah, it was very much a Woody Allen suicide type bid.
Then, a few months later, there was his second attempt at suicide, when he swallowed dozens of sleeping tablets.
That was me being stupid, but the people ignored me. My grandmother said, you know, I'm going home, all right, we might as well go home, which was the perfect thing, you know, you don't fuss over people.
This is when you swallowed the 95 pills.
Yeah, and went up to announce, you know, I was going to drown, or I threw myself in a swimming pool with a huge heavy toweling dressing gown and then was fighting for life. I mean, and my grandmother just said, well, we might as well go home then. Not a bit of sympathy did I get, and not a bit of sympathy did I deserve. I mean, if I had fallen by the wayside, I'd have had people that would have tried to stop me. It's not like a Boy George situation, I think, where it doesn't seem to be too many people trying to, that should have stopped that situation from occurring, which makes me very sad because I think he's incredibly talented.
A millionaire eccentric and self-confessed bisexual, Elton John has always been full of surprises. But no one was prepared when he announced he was getting married in Sydney on St. Valentine's Day 2 years ago.
I met Renata, and it was one of those things that it was like there was never any question in my mind that we were going to get married.
When you say that you had no doubt in your mind that you were going to marry, it was still a spur-of-the-moment thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, but it was, again, as I said before, in the 5 or 6 gut instincts and things in my life, I knew I had to do it. And we'd never been out together, except for more or less for the time, once in Montserrat and once in Sydney when I proposed. And that was a matter of it, you know.
Was it true that you asked her over a meal of curry?
Yeah, absolutely, in Sydney, and she doesn't drink wine. And I said, would you like some wine? She thought, well, you must like wine, so I ordered a bottle of white wine, and I don't drink white wine. So we sat there, and we were both sipping this wine, thinking, oh, Christ, I hate this. And she was only being polite, so yeah, it was quite farcical. And then coming back to the Siebel Townhouse and saying, hey, we're going to get married, and everyone in the bar going, and they put up, I think we broke the bar record at Siebel, which is pretty hard to do, I think.
It's a good bar.
There's a plaque up there, yeah. So, no, it was, that was great. The whole thing was superb.
It was a good wedding too, wasn't it?
It was a wonderful day. It was a wonderful day. I'm so happy our wedding day was one of the great things in my life. It was a superb day.
Everyone in this country has been so understanding and so great. And it's great to be married here, actually. It's fantastic.
Your mum was there, though?
My mum wasn't there, no.
She wasn't there?
She wasn't there, no. She was just happy that I was getting married.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd had a slight contretemps with my parents, just a bit of a row before that, and I hadn't spoken to him for about 2 or 3 weeks. And I phoned her mum and I said, hello. She said, hello. I said, what do you want? You know, typical mum. I mean, you can't fool mothers, can you? I said, I'm getting married. And she said, bloody hell. And she was just genuine. I think a lot of people, I mean, I was selling myself. I mean, there was probably a lot of jokes going around at my expense, which is fine. There were a lot of jokes going around at my expense when I became chairman of the football club, and I used to sit there and listen to the taunts. But as you grow older, you set yourself up, you say those things, you've got to expect that. But most people were very supportive.
There have been rumours lately regarding you and Renata and your marriage, and just how strong it is.
Yeah.
How strong is it?
It's very strong. It's getting stronger all the time. I mean, I've been away from her a lot on tour, so I mean, there was a rumour saying that we had a row and I moved out into a hotel in London. I did move into a hotel in London because she kicked me out of the house because we were having the kitchen redone. So I'm not getting you getting up at 7 o'clock in the morning with the builders here being grumpy, get out to London. And, you know, she's coming out to Australia, to the Sydney shows. She won't be on the start of the tour, and she won't be arriving with me in Australia, so before rumours start there, she will be on the Sydney part of the tour. She does have other things to do. She's got the house to look after and everything like that. But we are very close. I mean, it hurts her to see that, you know, I can cope with all that press because I've been used to it, but when you see things and they do make up things, it gets to her a little. She's getting better at it, and she's been a major brick as far as that's concerned. We're very strong, you know, people are always going to gossip.
Now, according to Elton and Renata, it's only a matter of time before they have their first child. When can we expect all these little Johns running around the house?
Good God, I don't know. When I lash it to a toothpick, I suppose.
Will you have more than one child?
I don't know. Let's try and start with one if we can. But I mean, like, again, that's not something that's... I mean, I've read in the Daily Mail in London now that I'm going to see specialists because I have trouble with my sperm. I mean, can you believe this? You know,
but if the rumours of their marriage problems are unbelievable, the stories of how the royal family helped patch things up are even more far-fetched.
You know, of course, we phone the palace up every 3 minutes when things go wrong. You know, we go over there and have marriage counselling. It's incredible. I can cope with it quite well. It gets a bit hurtful for Renata because she's never been used to that, but it becomes ludicrous that we actually had counselling with the Duke and Duchess of York. Can you imagine ringing up, like, Your Highness, I must come over and discuss the fact that we're not... You know,
and this is a couple who have been married 3 minutes themselves.
I mean, yes, exactly.
Elton, you've always been an Englishman to your bootstraps. How does an Englishman from your fairly humble background feel being a good friend of the royal family?
It's quite like a fairy tale, really. Probably wrong word to use, but I mean, like, it's quite extraordinary. I mean, one has to pinch oneself because it is quite extraordinary. I mean,
Extraordinary, maybe, but the first time Elton dined at the Palace, it was something of a disaster.
one of the first times I went, I put sugar on my food instead of salt. I had to eat the whole bloody meal. And I said,
Without
oh my
admitting-
God, I was like, I hope nobody saw this. And it was veal, and I was going, oh my God.
Sugar
Because
on
that's
the
the sort,
veal?
I mean, it's, you still, I only just got accustomed to using the knife and fork probably. I mean, you always make a mistake usually, or you're paranoid. But they're like most, you know, they're good people. One of the funniest anecdotes I can tell you is when I played Prince Andrew's birthday party, 21st birthday at Windsor Castle, and I'd finished playing before 500 people. It was like a nerve-wracking experience. And coming down afterwards, it was about a month before the royal wedding, with Prince Charles to Lady Diana. And she grabbed me for a dance before, we did the Charleston for about 15 minutes, which completely exhausted me, and I escaped. I escaped, and I thought, I could have something to drink. I was in the main room where everybody was eating and everything, and Princess Anne said, would you like to have a dance in the disco? And I said, yeah, sure. I mean, again, it's like, goodness me. So we went to the disco, which is the quietest disco I've ever heard. And we danced to it. We were dancing to Hound Dog by Elvis Presley, and I thought, my God, this is ridiculous, you know? And suddenly, as we were dancing, the Queen came in with somebody who I don't know, who was an elderly gentleman, and asked if she could join us, which was incredible. And the music segued into Rock Around the Clock by Bill Haley, and I thought, well, the odds against this when I was born must have been incredibly staggering. But you see, you have to realize that when you're with them, they make you feel like family. They are a family. They're a very close family.
As outrageous as ever, Elton is about to return to Australia, where he not only chose to marry, but to a place he calls his second home. And he says this tour will be bigger and better than ever.
I mean, I think on a musical event, I think probably one of the highlights of my career. It'll be like a rock and roll show towards the end with an orchestra, and you'll be able to hear the orchestra. There should be, there's 98 pieces of them. I would hope it would probably be one of the musical events, the best musical events Australia's ever seen. I'm glad we're doing it down there. I think and the more I think about it, I get chills.
Hello, I'm Sarah Abo. Thanks for watching. To keep up with the latest from 60 Minutes Australia, make sure you subscribe to our channel. You can also download the 9Now app for full episodes and other exclusive 60 Minutes content.